All right, what's up guys? It's Missy. I am back with another SimCity Buildit video, and today we're going to be doing a video on the contest mayors, obviously, why not, for low-level players, and I'm doing one for high-level players. This is going to be a two-part video. The first part is going to be for the low-level players, and the second part to this video will be for the high-level players. Now, are you unable to finish your assignments on time? Are you unable to do a lot of tasks? Are you struggling to finish? Are you having issues with being able to keep up with everything? That's because you're doing something wrong, okay? First off, time that goes in to the contest. And this is something that a lot of people don't get the first couple weeks of the contest. In Mega, a lot of people think that they have plenty of time left, and they don't have as much time left as they think, okay? When you have 5 days to finish 75 tasks, that is over 10 tasks a day, okay? Now, if you don't pick up the pace, you will not finish on time. A lot. I can't tell you. In fact, every single person I've ever trained has been horrible the first 2 weeks of the contest in terms of pretty much finishing their assignments on a timely manner. You got to get into the groove of things. You need to realize basically that if you can clear it quickly, do it. And do it now. Okay? So I'm going to tell you something that one of the people in my CoM training course did yesterday. Yesterday, and this has happened pretty much with almost everybody I've ever trained. Not everybody, but almost everybody. They come to me, they send in their screenshot for, I don't know, let's say they send it in, it's like 7 o'clock in the morning. And I tell them, okay, go do the deliveries. Go do the VU repair. I'm not going to check back with you to see what you're doing. That's not my job. I have plenty of other things to do, and I have other people to train. It is your job to bombard me with messages. I'm not going to go, hey, did you finish your task yet? Hey, come on, get a move on. No, I don't care if you win or lose. Not if you're going to act like that. You know, that's my point. If I'm going to care as much as you care, I will help you, and I want to train you and help you so you can do good, but you got to show me that, you know, you want it. I'm not going to, like, harass you to get your stuff done. It doesn't make an effect on my life if you win or lose. That's the point I'm making. Right? Okay. So, you send in your screenshots. The way the CoM training works is I have a life. Okay, I run a crime page. I run a YouTube channel. I run a missing persons page. I run a CoM training course. I run a group on SimCity. I mean, I'm busy. Okay? I have a lot of people that message me helping. I have a lot of people that message me and want help and answers, okay? So when I get people that waste my time, I'm not happy. I'm not happy at all. Okay? Now, I have people that hit me up and say, okay, Missy, this is where I'm at. And they're like, boom, they're on it. You know, I'm like, all right, go do the repair. Boom. 20 minutes later, they're back. They're like, all right, next, right? And I'm like, all right, cool. This person's on it. Then they get a downtime. And they're like, all right, well, I'm kind of stuck waiting on this. And I got to do that. And I'm going to go ahead and prep this over here. And I've got this going. And it's like, okay, on it. You know, they're on it. Then I got people that are like, hey, last week I sent you a screenshot and you told me to do the repairs. Well, I did that. Here we are 2.5 days later and I'm wondering what I should do next. Are you kidding me right now? Seriously. Then I mentioned to the people, like, dude, you got to pick up the pace, man. Like, this ain't cool. You've done 8 tasks in 2 days. And they're just like, oh, okay. It's like, really, dude? And they start making up excuses. And then it's like, okay, here, let me take some more time out of my day. I'm going to go back through the conversation. I'm going to show you where you sent me a message at 7 a.m. Okay? You sent your screenshot in at 7 a.m. And I don't hear again from you for 12 hours. That's ridiculous. okay? And then people come back with the, well, you know, I didn't hear from you crap. No, first off, when you agreed to CoM training, first off, you did hear from me. I have to screenshot and show them where I said what to do most of the time. Sometimes they didn't hear from me, but they didn't hear from me because they only sent me one message and it got pushed down the list. I have told everybody when you start CoM training, okay? The way that this works is you send your list, okay? And I will respond when I can. If I'm recording, if I'm doing something, I can't always get back to you immediately. Some of us are on different time zones, okay? If we're on a completely opposite time zone, I will put you in a group chat with me and CPT. That way he can help you when he's awake and I can help you when I'm awake to match up with the times, okay? That rarely happens. But the point I'm getting at here is you can blow my phone up. It's your job to blow my phone up, and it's your job to make the best decisions that you know how. If you do not hear from me in a timely manner, I will review the decisions, tell you what you've done right or wrong, and then we'll pick up back where we left off. Now, normally I'm pretty good at getting back to people, but there is times where I do fall asleep, you know, and I do have a life. There are times where my phone is off and I fall asleep for more than 3 hours. I apologize. I mean, you see what I'm trying to say? You can't depend on me 100% of the time to make 100% decisions. And with all of the videos that I have provided, you shouldn't need me to make all of your decisions. You should be able to make 90% of them on your own. The CoM training is for people who have a pretty good idea of what to do, but they still struggle in the more difficult decisions. That's what it's for. Now, I want to see all of your decisions so I know what you're doing wrong. That's the whole point, you know. I can't know what you're doing wrong if I don't know. So you come to me, if you only send me screenshots when you're stuck, that doesn't help you because I don't know what you're doing wrong. For all I know, you're doing something wrong in there, but I don't know because I don't see what you're doing. All I see is numbers. Okay? So that's how CoM training works. But more importantly, how can you not fall behind in the contest? Okay, so many of these players that are like this, and there's a lot of you, the reason that you fall behind is because you don't pay attention to, first off, you think you have more time than you do, okay? I can't tell you how many people sit there with 50 tasks and 2.5 days remaining, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I would be, I'm not kidding you guys, I would be so stressed if that was me, and I would be like, dude, how am I gonna finish on time? Without spending obscene amounts of tokens and cash, it's preposterous. There's two things that people need to really correct themselves on. One is if you are not in Mega, do not play as if you're in Mega. I'm gonna do a separate video on that, but don't do it, okay? It's not worth it. Second, first thing, I believe it was Wilson. He had prepped ladders and something else. I want to say paint. It doesn't really matter. The point is he prepped an item in his shop and he prepped another item in another shop at the beginning of the contest. Okay? Now, the way that I advise people do the contest of Mayor's prep, there's a couple of things here. When you prep your factories, here's what you should do. You're going to take your factories and you're going to prep feed the night before the contest. Okay? The reason that I say feed, and this is for you level 29 and below players. Anybody who doesn't have electrical, can't remember when you unlock that. But anybody who does not have electrical, prep feed. Now, the reason for this is because here's how the breakdown works. You want to have as much stuff done and available for pickup to save as much time as you can, right? That's the whole point in the prep. So what you're going to do the night before the contest, hours before the contest. So however many hours it takes for you to get on the game and set everything up. You're going to go to each one of your shops and you're going to pick an item. Doesn't matter which, just pick an item. Now, well, it kind of matters. I mean, try to do something that you think you might actually get a task for. The point is not everybody's prep is going to be the same. If you think you might get a task for melons, then do melons. If you do cream, do something that takes at least 30 minutes or longer so that you get your time worth, right? Like, don't do veggies. I mean, unless you're like a level 18 player and you have nothing. No, you have flour at that point. So do flour. You know, don't do veggies. If you're a level 11 player and that's all you have, then do veggies. But for the most part, pick something that takes a while so that you have it done if the game asks for you to make it. Okay, now that you've got this store prepped, here's what you're going to do. You have 11 slots, okay? You're going to collect one of these slots, and then you're going to place one down, okay? So you always have one making and 10 ready for pickup. That's how this works. Now, what this does is it allows you to not only basically have extra storage space in a sense, because technically you have all these items sitting here that you own. You're storing them, but they're not in your storage. So it's a nice way to have some backup storage. And you have items ready for pickup at all times, but more importantly, you're not losing money because something is being made in that store, okay? Whereas what a lot of people will do is they'll just have 11 items sitting there forever. And then they're not making any money though. That's the problem. So here's the next thing that people don't understand. Wilson is a prime example of this, okay? What he did this week is a prime example of what a lot of you guys do. He got a task for tape measures and I think it was planks, okay? Now, these are two different shops and they were very low valued tasks. What he should have done the moment that he saw those tasks is he should have went and picked up one item from his building supply store. So if he prepped paint, he would have collected one of his paint and placed down one plank, okay? Then he would have went to his hardware store. He would have collected one of, let's say he prepped shovels, and he would have put down one tape, okay? And he would have done that until he had the amount that was requested on his list. Now, the reason he's doing that is because if he gets, let's say, a paint task in the meantime, then it's like, okay, I've only put down 2 planks now. I still have all these other paint that I can collect on. Versus, oh, well, I collected all the paint and then I put down all the planks and then all of a sudden I got my paint task. You don't want that to happen to you. Trust me. And it happens more than you think. That is how you're supposed to cycle these out, okay? What he didn't do is he didn't prep anything. He left everything sit. So when it came time to, let's say, do the tape or the planks, now it's like, okay, clear everything because that's your next task. You see what I'm saying? And now it's like, now you got to burn through tokens because now you don't have anything done. Whereas if you would have started that stuff hours ago, a day and a half ago, you would have this stuff done. Right? But he didn't do that. And that is where you start to really fall back on your time. Okay? That's where things start to really crunch and hurt you. Another example. You have an epic project. Okay? You have a time cooldown between epic projects. And what people will do is they will hold off on finishing their epics, which is totally fine. But what they'll do is they'll wait on, let's say they know, like, hey, the next 12 hours is pretty taken up with stuff. Like, there's no way in hell I'm going to have an epic project within the next 6 to 12 hours. They will let it sit there all the way into the next day. You're better off finishing it and then starting your next one when and if it occurs at that point. Because what ends up happening is people save that last 40 or 60 points or whatever it is, and then they either crunch time to get it finished, right? And then they get stuck with silver or something. Or what ends up happening is they finish it, but they get an epic project almost immediately after, and now they have a 12-hour cooldown. When they really should have just finished that one, knowing that they weren't going to have an epic anytime soon, and then their cooldown would have been over and they would have been able to get 2 or 3 of them done back to back if necessary. So try to time out those to be more effective or efficient or whatever you want to call it. Okay, the next thing. Factory prep. Which one do you prep? You're going to prep feed, okay? It takes the longest for you lower level players, but it's also the one that comes back the least amount of times, and it's usually, when it comes in, it's worth 2,000 points or higher. Now, here's the thing about factory tasks. They're not horrible, but they give you chemicals, and they make you make like 40 some odd chemicals for like 1,700 points. Then they tell you, oh, make like 50 metal for 1,700 points. It doesn't even compare. So it's super frustrating. But what you're going to do is you're going to prep feed. And if you, let's say you get a metal task when you have feed prepped. You don't need to collect all 40 feed to do metal, okay? You can collect 10 of them to do it and leave the other 30 sitting there in case you get something. Or what you can do is, if you are really concerned about it, if you know like, hey, there's a good chance that I'm gonna get something that if you know you usually get feed and glass tasks that are worth, let's say, they want like 47 of them and you only have 40, then what you can do is do the first half of them, because you're gonna have to run 2 rounds, right? So let's say it's the beginning of the day. Here's what a lot of people do. They're like, well, I have to run 2 rounds of techs, so I'm gonna do 40 of them now and have it take up my whole day. And then I'm going to start my task, collect them, and then I'll do the 7 right before sleep. No, do it the other way around. Do the 7 now. Don't start, obviously you're not starting the task X, it's not done. You're gonna do the 7 now. You're gonna have all day so that your factories are still open for you to utilize. And then when it comes time to go to sleep, you can start your feed task, get it done, and then do the other 40 when you wake up. This allows your factories to be open during the day, okay? The next method, if you are a low-level player. Now, this method's a little trickier. What you can do is, if you think that you may get, let's say, a factory task that requires more than 1 round, you can split it into 2 or even 3. And you can say, okay, I'm going to do 15 glass, 15 feed, and 15, let's say, textiles or something. And that way you have the first half already done when it pops up, right? Now, what you can do is collect that first half immediately and then do the second half. But, I mean, at least you have the first half of each one of those done, depending on which one you get. Now, you don't normally do these tasks unless they were right around 1,800 to 2,000 points or higher, because they're not holding one of your decent place values. Now, what a lot of low-level players make the mistake of is they always want to clear sugar and chemicals all the damn time. And they're usually right around 1,100 to, I don't know, about 1,400 points when they want to clear them. Even at 1,700 points, okay? No, because usually what happens with those, the sugar and the chems, is they continuously come back. And they just wreak havoc on your list, because when they come back in and they're worth 2,000 points or higher, you're forced to do them. So if you have chemicals and they're worth 1,800 points or higher, go ahead and do them. But if they're below the 1,800 threshold, don't do them, okay? They will likely come right back. Now, another thing that a lot of low-level players do is they burn through tokens at the wrong times, or they don't utilize their tokens. For instance, hang on a second. I'm over here with like bad allergies and shit. Okay, so give me a minute here. Okay, I totally forgot what I was talking about. Alright, anyways, so. I really wish I remembered what I was talking about. Oh my god, bear with me, you guys. Alright, so you've got the 15 of each. Don't know. That's really bad. I don't normally do that. Blame the fact that I haven't had my morning keto shot. Anyway, so, oh, tokens, that's what we were talking about. So, I have the Contest to Mayor's Guide, okay? And if you guys look on there or you type in token guide on my channel, you will see how to read the token guide. So it'll show you exactly how many of each item you can make on each token based on what shop you have. It's super useful. Use it. Okay, we spent good time making it. Use it. It will help you save tokens. There's no sense in you burning through 3 silver tokens if you can do it with 1 gold token, right? So, you know what I mean by that. All right, so the next thing is whenever you guys have the opportunity to get shit done, do so. So another thing that a lot of people do is they do not pay attention to the fact that they have a reward task in their list. So for example, I have a lot of the people that are in my CoM training course are also in my group. So I know when we end war and when we're in the attack phase and things like that. Now, what'll happen with a lot of people is I'll notice that, hey, we've only got, 5 or 6 hours of the attack phase left. And let's say they have a choice between a launch 1 in Club Wars attack and a Tokyo flight for 1,000. Both rotatable tasks, both premium, but normally people naturally want to go towards the deliveries first. I don't know why. But anyways, I will advise them to get the war assignment done because it's still basically the right choice, right? And you're running low on time. Now, let's say it was for 800 and it was like a launch common attack. I would probably advise them to quickly go, if you're in a situation where you are running very low on rotatable tasks, like if you basically what's going to happen is one of 2 things. You're going to do the airport and you're going to get a couple of tasks in the meantime, just long enough to the point where you're going to have to rotate that second task, but by that time war will be over. If you feel that might happen, go ahead and do the other one first. Now, don't always do that. Just do that if you really think that it's going to be a really shitty situation, because what you don't want to have happen is be in a situation where you have 1 rotatable task and you can't do war. It's a 12-hour cooldown with a 12-hour prep phase, right? So you're looking at 24 hours before you can do anything. You can't afford that, so you're going to have to move on to something else, right? And if you only have 1 rotatable tasks anyways, you're pretty much in a shitty situation and got to figure something out anyways. Now, this does happen quite a bit with people where they have like 1 rotatable task. That is when you're in reverse rotation. Reverse rotation is one of the hardest things people have trouble. It's one of the things that people have a lot of trouble with, and it's because there's no obvious choice there. You have to make something happen with the garbage that you have, and it's just it's aggravating because you don't want to make the wrong choice, because you don't want to screw up your whole week, but at the same time it's like you got to do something. And I think that that's where a lot of people don't understand that not canceling can be just as bad as canceling. Okay? Just like not leveling up can be just as bad as leveling up to some people. I mean, leveling up causes irreversible damage, whereas not leveling up is just honestly a waste of time. So, I mean, if you had to pick the lesser of the 2 evils, you would want to camp longer than you would in terms of, I leveled too quickly, obviously. But, if you sit there and you do task after task with that upgrade sitting there, it could be just as bad on you as canceling. So let me put it into a little bit brighter of a light for you. Let's say you cancel one task. What this means is you are basically down 2,000 points, okay? Because you have to run a 2,000 point average. On average, that's what you want to aim for, right? So you have to make up, at a minimum, those 2,000 points to be back on your average line. So every one task that you cancel, pretty much figure that you need to make up for 2,000 points. This would include doing 4 tasks worth 2,500 points, or doing 2 tasks worth 3,000 points, because you would have your 2,000 points and then you'd have the 1,000 left over, right? And you would need to do that twice to get 2,000. So for every 1 canceled, you need 2 3K tasks or 4 2,500 point tasks. Now, what happens is you don't cancel and you do a task, let's say, worth 1,500 points. And now you're down 500 points, but you don't see it that way because you're not really looking at it as a loss, right? You're not paying very close attention to the points. And so pretty much look at whatever points you're down. So like, let's say that you know you're down on your average. And let's say you've done 40 tasks and you have 70,000 points. Okay? Realistically, you would need 80,000 points to be where you're supposed to be, right? Okay. But you have 70,000. Okay? So you're down 10,000 points. So think about how many tasks you have to do to make up for 10,000 points. That is, if 2,000 is 2 3K tasks. So then what would you do? You'd say, okay, so for every 2 3K tasks, I make back 2,000 points, and you have to make back 10,000 points, right? Okay, so think about how many tasks, and that's, you still have to hold your average. Remember that, okay? So think about how many tasks, how many 3K tasks you realistically get in a round of one contest. It's really not that many. I mean, most of the time, I would say on average, you get about maybe 6 to 8 max, usually 3K tasks. Other than that, it's like, 2,400, 2,500, but for the most part, they average right around the 2,000 to, I'd say, 2,500 range. You've got the 2,000 VU that pops up a lot, 2,000 keys, you've got the land for 2,000, a lot of the factory tasks are right around 2,000. You've got a lot of 2,400 production tasks, but you don't get a lot of 3,000 point tasks. And when you do, it's normally after a string of tasks that are right around 1,700 points or so. So you got to really pay attention. If you're down 10,000 points, you got big problems. You know what I'm saying? But if you can get, let's say, for every, like what we just discussed, you need 4 2,500 point tasks to make up for 1 canceled task, right? So you're basically looking at what, 2,500 point tasks to get you back on track? Yeah. Do you see that happening? I don't see that happening. It's gonna, and then you have to think, that's saying that every task from that point on is worth that value. That's saying you don't drop your average any more than it already is. So it really could be just as detrimental to your score by simply not canceling. So let's say that you have 2 people, okay? One person, they both have the same exact list. And let's say one person cancels the 3,000 point task. They're down 2,000 points. But let's say that they continuously got, some 2K tasks and what have you. They made up for their average and they're back on track. But let's say that the other person didn't cancel and it blocked their ability to get any high point, not just a 3K task, but it's taking up a place value in their list in general, and it blocked their ability to get much of anything. And so now they have done, let's say they've done 10 tasks and they're all less than 2,000 points. They've taken a hit on everything they've done, whereas the other person only took a hit one time. One hit, they made up for the points, and they were back on track. Once your average starts to drop, that's usually when people start to say, well, now I need to cancel. My average is dropping, nothing's happening, now I need to cancel. So you do a double hit. You're like, it's like you got beat with a baseball bat, and then you got shot in the head. You know what I'm saying? You should have just taken the shot to the arm in the first place, and you wouldn't be in this situation. And I can't tell you how many people do this, especially early on in the contest. They'll start the contest, they'll get their list, and they'll have a 3,000 point upgrade. And they don't want to start off the contest canceling, but it's like it's their best option. But for whatever reason, they just don't. It's like they think, oh, this is a great contest. I'm already canceling. It's my first task and I already have to cancel. Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to really hurt yourself. You know? It doesn't make any sense to take an ass beating to take another ass beating, is what I'm trying to say. You know? So, just figure out which ass beating you'd like. You know? It's not realistic to do that. And that's what almost everybody does, is they wait until their average has dropped. They wait and they say, okay, I haven't had any luck getting anything, getting anywhere. Nothing's popping up. My average is 10,000 down. Now I'm going to cancel. Big mistake. Don't do that. Okay? All right. Next thing. Try your best to utilize anything that you can. Meaning, stock up on VU, stock up on Dozer. Don't wait until the contest of mayor starts and you get a land expansion in your list to start hunting Dozer. Just pretty much figure you're going to need it, okay? So always be hunting for it. Always be wheeling and dealing and doing trades. Always make sure that you have what you need if you get something to pop up. And then another thing here is, let's say that you do a... Let's say you do a launch, okay? And you've got 4 disasters there. And one of them is for 500. That's the repairs, okay? It's going to give you 500 coins. And the other one is, the other 3 are for keys. Okay, so you did your launch 2. This was the last one, and now you've let the repair sit there in case you end up doing a repair task. So they're just sitting there. So let's say that you did the repair task, you had to launch again to get the final repair. Okay? And so you launched again, and you got the final repair, and you're going to have 3 left over. Do you just pick whichever one you have stuff for, or do you actually, you know, think about it and say, you know what, I could, out of these 3 out of 4 are asking or are giving keys. 1 out of them is giving 500 coins. Do the one for the 500 coins so that if you do a key task, you have 3 keys sitting there. Give me a second here. Okay. All right, I'm back. So, prepping for the contest as a low-level player. You got your VU. You got your Dozer all squared away. You've saved anything that you can in your pass. Super important, you guys. And this goes for all of you. And even if you're not playing the contest, take advantage of this pass. Do not collect anything that you don't have to collect. For instance, I don't collect my my tokens until the last day, because I already have so many epic projects done that if I collect these, then that just means I have tokens sitting on my houses that I can't collect. I don't collect the deeds unless I actually, plan to use them, because if you collect the deeds first, you are not going to be allowed to pick between using your items or your deed. So let's say that you collected a beach deed, but you only had the slot that wanted 5 of each. It's a waste, because you could have saved that for a slot that was asking for much more. Also, for those of you who do not know this, if you are, let's say you haven't unlocked regionals yet, but you collected regional currency from the past. That is held for you, okay? It's at the top of your screen, up here. It'll show you in the regional currency section right here if you look. Also, the Neo-Simoleons, the deeds, anything like that. You guys, the game is holding it for you, okay? So don't worry about that. You're still able to benefit from it. For example, I had collected like 8 deeds or something before they had even offered regionals at some point when they had done the regionals. I hadn't unlocked anything new, and then they came out with the other 2 regional maps, and it had held those for me. So when I opened up Limestone, I had all of, or not Limestone, the 4th map that I opened, I had all of those things waiting for me. So try to utilize those first, which it kind of sucked because it was at the beginning of the map, and it was when everything was like super cheap, but I didn't have a choice, you know, so I mean, it is what it is. But, you know, the mountain ones and stuff, you're going to need those for the Frosty map. For a lot of you low-level players that have been playing for, you know, a long time as a low-level and just collecting stuff, you guys will eventually, you'll have a ton of deeds, and you can utilize those on your regionals whenever you finally decide to unlock those. So that's good. Okay, so as for the contest to mayors, any other tips that I have for you? You can only have 3 construction zones at any one time, okay? If you're somebody who depends on this, if you are doing house upgrades, this is more of a high-level player tip, actually. It's to place the construction zone down, do the 1 upgrade, bulldoze, and or keep, doesn't matter. It just kind of depends on you and what it is that you're upgrading. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I think that pretty much takes care of it for now, other than all the other things that I've said on my other videos, but I mean, that pretty much sums it up. If you want to know how much time you have left on your epic timer, the way that works is after you do an epic project, if you click on your token tower, it will show you a timer right here at the very top, okay? After that timer has disappeared, if that timer is not there and you do not have an epic, what this means is that you do not have a fully upgraded regular residential home, or it's not in an area where there's specialization coverage. So what you need to do is pick that home up and make sure that it has some kind of specialization coverage, particularly the category in which you desire. So let's say that you wanted to do like an epic project in the mountain category. You would want it to be within the zone of coverage for mountain, and then it'll pop up. If it does not pop up and you do have specialization coverage, then it means that it's not fully upgraded. If it's fully upgraded, you have coverage, it's not popping up, and the timer's not there, then your game is broken. Okay? All right, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and jump off here, and I'm going to get a couple more videos done. And for you high-level players, be sure to check out the tips and tricks video for you guys.